Ok, para todos los que están conectados y que han venido a este excelente evento, bienvenidos. Este es un evento traído por Nova. Nova es una empresa que lleva más de 10 años en el mercado y recientemente está desarrollando alianzas estratégicas con instituciones, universidades, centros de entrenamiento y colegios en toda Latinoamérica para utilizar infraestructura de hardware y software que se encuentra en Europa y poder ofrecer y entregar conocimientos y habilidades en animación digital, llámese modelado, texturizado y Unreal Engine. Este evento va a ser transmitido en inglés con una presentación en pantalla que tiene resúmenes en castellano. La mayoría de nuestros eventos, la participación es escasa, así es que esperamos que todos los que se están conectando y son parte de este evento puedan participar. Para este fin, deben utilizar la herramienta que tiene Zoom dispuesta en la parte inferior de su pantalla, haciendo clic en el botón que dice Raise Hand. De esa forma, un miembro del equipo les dará acceso para poder participar. Los temas son muy importantes, pero les sugiero especial atención al tema de soft skills o habilidades blandas. No es suficiente ser un buen profesional. Y como muchos expertos en la industria han dicho, los soft skills son tan importantes como ser un buen profesional. Así que daremos inicio a nuestra presentación y estaremos seguros que será de gran ayuda para poder dibujar un futuro exitoso para ustedes y las personas que se encuentran cerca de ustedes. Welcome to this event and thank you for being here. It is a pleasure for us to have such an important guest, and we are very pleased to share with you information on topics that might have an impact in the lives of professionals in Latin America. Today, we are joined as part of the Nova team by Stephanie, who works as a 3D digital animation producer. Our guest, Colin Beadle, who is the Vice President of Human Resources at Thunderbird Entertainment and Atomic Cartoons. He's been over 20 years in animation production and creative experience. And finally, who speaks to you, my name is Victor. The topics we're gonna cover today are the story about Colin and all his journey all the way to Atomic Cartoons, the type of artists they're looking for, mentorship and job remote working offers in the industry. So thank you for being here. Stephanie, you can start.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos los que nos están acompañando en este webinar. Estamos muy entusiasmados para poder presentarle oportunidades nuevas y abrir sus mentes a retos y sueños que solo necesitan un pequeño empujón para hacerse realidad. Les recuerdo que están invitados a participar y preguntar cualquier cosa, lo más relacionada al temario que vamos a ver hoy, para poder apoyarles de la mejor manera durante y también después de este evento. Y también quiero recordarles a todos que la próxima semana, el 4 de junio a las 11 a.m. hora centroamericana y 7 p.m. hora España, vamos a tener un masterclass en Unreal Engine. No se lo pierdan porque va a estar de invitado especial Carlos Vilches, quien es un Senior Mocap Technical Director y Stagecraft en Industrial Light and Magic, para que ustedes puedan irlo viendo a él. De hecho, voy a juntar aquí rapidito el link para que ustedes aquí en el chat, para que ustedes lo vean y puedan registrarse a este otro evento. Todos queremos aquí conocer a nuestro amigo Colin Beadle y las compañías para las cuales él trabaja. So, Colin, everyone is eager to hear from you. So please, let's start by untangling who is Colin and how is this role as a talent recruiter in the massive entertainment world?
Well, thank you so much. And, hey, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me here today. Huge thank you to you, Stephanie and Victor, for organizing this great event that hopefully, connects us with lots more talent. Myself, I started out just over 20 years ago now. I was a graduate of a school up here in Vancouver called the Vancouver Film School. You may have heard of it. There's a lot of animation grads that have come out of that over the years, and many of which I still work with today, even from my graduating class back in the mid 90s. I started out as a runner, they called it, which is basically, you kind of do anything and everything at a studio. And from there, I moved into my first creative role, which was as an animator. And amazing kind of side story, and it just shows you how small the industry is. Our CEO at Thunderbird She was actually the production manager at the time that gave me my first opportunity to animate. So, we've known each other a very long time, and it's amazing how, your careers and stuff sort of intertwine. But after animating for a number of years with a great studio that's still here in town called Mainframe, I moved on and moved into production. So, people talk about sort of the creative side or the production side, and I've been lucky to be a part of both. And on the production side, I was a coordinator and a production manager and line producer. Most recently, I guess, sort of evolution-wise in my career, have moved into human resources. And, I think when I made the jump from the creative side and animation to the production side as a coordinator, that was a fairly big jump. A lot of people sort of ask me how I did that. And there's no real clear sort of easy answer to that. But moving from production to HR was a lot more fluid and easier. There's a lot more overlap, I think, in those roles.
And can you talk to us a little bit about Atomic Cartoons? Who are they, and what are they doing right now?
Absolutely. So holy smokes, I started at Atomic almost 7 years ago now. And the studio has just grown beyond belief. I mean, so many studios have in Vancouver. There's an unbelievable boom for or demand right now for content with all the different streaming services that are out there now. And so, I talking to, people that are either industry professionals or interested in getting into the industry in different tech roles, like this is a treat because, it's I feel like I'm speaking to hopefully sort of an untapped talent pool right now. But, Atomic specifically, we're an artist-driven, artist-friendly studio. Those are sort of our main value, like focus values. We've got roughly 1,200 employees now. I mean, 7 years ago, I think we were at 200, and we've grown so much across 3 studios. When I joined, there was 1. We now have 3. So, I hate to say that 1 is sort of the main studio, but the Vancouver studio is the studio that has sort of the majority of employees.
Right.
Currently, we're sort of the largest space in that regard. And it was the founding space. From there, we opened our second studio in Ottawa, so sort of the eastern side of Canada. And there's roughly about 200 employees there. And then most recently, a couple of years ago, we just opened up our LA division. And the majority of our development work and pre-production happens there. So we can talk a little bit about that later in terms of pitch processes and programs that we've got internally. But we're pretty much a 50-50 split between 2D and 3D animation. I started out as a 3D animator and sort of the industry went one direction, 3D. And then now I feel like it pivoted back to 2D and now it's kind of balanced out, which is great. I think everyone sort of realized that one's not better than the other and they're just different tools to create art. We do a lot of service work, but we also do our own IP. And we do that start to finish. So that's right all the way from script to final audio and everything in between. So storyboards, design, modeling, builds, animation, compositing, visual effects, you name it, we do it all. And depending on the project, sometimes we do every single step. Sometimes we do some steps if we partner up with another company. But it feels like more and more, especially with the demand for animation, that we're doing stuff start to finish. And then
200 employees is a lot. Do you consider Atomic is like a mid-sized company or big-sized company? What do you think?
Oh, I've never had someone ask me that. It's a really good question. I think we like to pretend we're small, although it's hard to do that now with the number of people that we have. Culture-wise, I think we've managed to sort of hold on to what we've had in the past. It's changed a lot in terms of sort of, I hate to say sort of like the family, company that we were, we've definitely changed a lot since then, but we've held on to a lot of what we were as well and remained a place that I think a lot of people want to either remain at or join. So we're grateful for that.
Wow. I will put a video about everybody. I will put a small video, like a demo reel from Atomic. While I'm putting it, I would love to hear Colin, like, what do you have pitch programs inside Atomic, and how is life at this company as well? Maybe everybody wants to hear that.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm going to be distracted by the video too. Yeah. So life at Atomic. So, Atomic is, to me, it's a very kind, compassionate place. And that's, largely, if not entirely because of the great leadership team that we've got there and led by Jennifer McCarron, our CEO.
Right.
It's a super supportive, inclusive studio. Everyone is welcome at Atomic. Flexibility was one of our big sort of key things, and that we wanted to, everyone gets so sort of focused on how difficult and challenging the industry can be in terms of hours, work-life balance, all those kind of things. And we've been managed to sort of be a place where we can give people that work-life balance that they want, and we do, understand if someone needs to start late or leave early or whatever. It's right. Always a give and take. Pre-pandemic, that was an easy thing to quantify. During the pandemic, it's been a little tougher. We've still remained that flexible studio and done everything we possibly can. But it's tough. And, we've seen that obviously as new people have joined, and, you don't necessarily see the person next to you logging out and going home at 5:00. So right. You don't know that it's time to do that yourself. And so you're tempted to keep working.
And also what you were saying about, what are the most important products that Atomic has as a company? You are more of a preschool, also young children from 7 to 8 years above, all the IPs and the programs that you are doing.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, we in terms of projects, we've got so many right now. And, you showed an image of Spidey and his amazing friends, and
yeah,
we're working on, and that one's a big hit for sure. That's a popular one. And we've got My Little Pony
Hilda.
Right now.
That's another one.
Hilda, that's right. We worked on Hilda as well.
Pretty famous.
Gosh, that was an awesome one to be a part of. But projects aside, the most important thing to us is the people, because right. Without the people, we're nothing. And
exactly.
And especially right now in a world where there's, people say there's sort of a war for talent, and
oh yeah,
there really is. And it's not just in the animation industry. It's a global problem that everyone's dealing with.
I think that's something. Excuse me, Colin. I think that's something that maybe people would like to hear a little more extensive in detail, because when you say war for talent and being so much talent in Latin America, it's kind of right in. That's right. What we're waiting to hear, right?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, 10 years ago, which isn't that long ago, if someone had come to me and said, hey, I don't live in Canada, I'm not a Canadian citizen, I'm not a permanent resident. Right. Would you consider me for the job? I think my initial reaction would be, oh, that's going to be really hard, and I right. think most studios would have done the same thing. But, and I don't think the animation industry is alone in this. I think everyone is looking internationally now and exactly. Pulling talent from all over the world. And, exactly. there's no positives to the pandemic, but this is a great positive in that, we're talking and would I have thought that we'd be reaching out and connecting, with yourselves about future opportunities and stuff?
Sure.
Maybe not back in the past. So this is a really great thing. I feel like the world in some ways has gotten a lot smaller, and for the better.
For the better. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, well, great. So we can now begin to start on what the people are asking of these jobs opportunities.
Awesome.
Are there opportunities at Atomic for remote work? Someone, Julia Camara, is asking, are there opportunities at Atomic for remote working?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not seeing the questions. Yes, there absolutely is. There absolutely is. And, I mean, right now, as you know, I mean, 2000 flashback to 2020, February, March was when I think almost every studio sent everyone home and pivoted. And, everybody, I think, successfully did that to some extent, some a little more successful than others, but everybody managed to make that work. And since then, I mean, like right now I'm sitting in a fairly remote part of British Columbia, up a boat ride away from Vancouver. And a lot of our company is in the same, all 1,200 of us, if I spend a day in the studio right now, it's a big mix. There's some people that are working full-time in the studio. There's some people working full-time at home. There's some people doing, we call it the hybrid, a little bit of both, which is great. And, in our sort of message about flexibility, we want to be able to offer that to everyone. And so remote work absolutely is an option. Yeah.
Okay. They are asking if you're looking more for a 2D or 3D type talent now. Yeah.
Great question. So, both. I don't think there's one more than the other. Like at this exact moment in time, there's a little bit less 2D work than 3D work. But, if you ask me again in a couple of weeks, I'd probably say it's the opposite. You never, it just keeps sort of fluctuating back and forth. Some roles are a little more difficult. Like if you're a 2D animator without any 3D animation experience, there can be a bit of a learning curve there. It's not impossible, but it's probably good to have some training in both media. But design opportunities are things that work in both 2D and 3D. So I'd hate to say one's more than the other right now. Great question.
Yeah, there's another question, but I think it would be nice if we just go on, Stephanie, because I think it's going to be answered later on.
Oh yeah. I can see it. We're looking at the questions now.
Digital animation is pretty huge, and immersion technology is pretty huge, talking about skills. So taking into account your experience, what do you consider to be the most in-demand skills for junior, mid-level, and senior segments? And do you have any preference right now or any needs within those three levels?
Yeah. So really good question. So, at the junior level, it's an interesting industry, and without knowing sort of all the audience that I'm speaking to right now, I apologize if this seems sort of like too basic of an answer, but your reel and your portfolio are everything. Like it's a great factor about the animation industry in that, your grade point average or whatever you got, none of those things are factors. It's entirely about the art that you produce, whether that's in your portfolio or your demo reel. And so, for a junior artist, typically when we interview you or call you to speak with you, we've already made a decision based off your portfolio or demo reel that you can do the job, because you've probably shown us something beautiful there that we're really excited about. But it's your passion and your enthusiasm at that sort of point that's really going to definitively land you the job, I think, and just sort of meeting with each other to figure out if we can all work together. But once you get into sort of the middle and senior level, it's a little bit more about giving back. It's about being a mentor. It's about helping the people that are starting out beneath you and getting them to the level that you're at. And so, we're always kind of looking for people that, you wouldn't want someone selfish to come in that's just sort of all about them and focused on, bettering themselves and ignoring everyone around them. You really want a team player, someone that's going to participate and help lift people up around them. Our industry, specifically in TV animation, not film, but TV, things move really quickly. It's a faster pace. You can move very quickly. You can go from a junior role to a mid-level role to a senior, lead, director, even within a few years in TV animation. Yeah.
And what is the most difficult position to fill in?
This is another one of those questions where, if I told you right now what the most difficult position is in a week, it would be something else. So, at this exact moment in time, I would say probably 3D animators are really difficult to find as there's so much 3D work happening, but that fluctuates. We've seen it happen for storyboard artists, for pipeline, like technical roles, engineering roles. Gosh, you name it, compositing, all of them. And it's because the industry has so many studios doing so many projects at the same time. It's often a situation where we kind of have to know what other studios are doing to time things. Otherwise suddenly the whole talent pool will get taken by one entity, and then you're waiting for them to, finish something so you can get a storyboard artist, for example. So
exactly.
Yeah, but 3D animation, that's a tough one to fill at this exact moment.
Oh, that's so cool. And for example, what are the best qualities in artwork you always like to find in each artist, in their demo reels, in their CVs, to put them in the position of the company? Yeah, totally. So, I think that it depends role to role. Right. I think that a general open-mindedness on an individual, honesty, tenacity. Our CEO always talks about tenacity, sort of the drive to take something from start to finish and own it, and being a team player. All typical things that probably everybody wants in every company, but specifically because it's such a collaborative industry, it's so important. But when you look at individual specific roles like animation, I think when we look at a demo reel, for example, like a little bit of everything is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Typically, an artist will try and tell a story, and sometimes they're not necessarily storytellers. So you really need to think about what it is that, what specific role you're going for. So like if you're going for an animation role, it's good to have a piece of acting. It's good to have a piece of action. Yeah. A couple of sort of, varied pieces that really show motion rather than, you telling a whole story. Cause that you don't necessarily need to do that. If you wanted to apply for a storyboard role, then that would be more important that you tell, a story with the art that you show. Yeah. On the design side, if you're looking for a design position, you're probably looking more to do, or you would probably want to present more of a range as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe some props, some character work, some environments, something that shows all the different angles of that design and how that would apply and how that would work, whether it's going into a 3D production or a 2D production. Also, there's a difference between 2D and 3D productions. There is, in 3D, you can actually end up needing to show a lot more detail on a design because it needs to be seen from so many angles. And great examples of that in the animation sort of book world would be to grab any of those art books from Disney. Right. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and so Clone Wars did an amazing art book. It's difficult to find. I think it's out of print, but it's a perfect example of all of the level of detail. Would you give to people who aren't from North America on how to break into the industry and working on those international studios, especially in show pitching and script writing? Oh, awesome. Geez, Clarissa, great questions. So I first of all, the ultimate recruiting tool, every animation studio uses it, is LinkedIn. And so if you're not on LinkedIn, you want to get on LinkedIn. You want to get on LinkedIn. Yes. Yeah. Set up a profile and connect with every recruiter you can find. You're going to want to accept your invitation because, you're an artist looking for work and they need to find artists. I think specifically though, if you're looking to get an opportunity abroad, then you're going to want to look into sort of what the rules and regulations are wherever you're specifically trying to go regarding immigration. And there's so many specialists that can assist with that now. I mean, I that's a whole, huge business, and I'm happy to share some links to some great immigration specialists after this, if that's helpful for anyone. Yes, that will be so helpful. And for example, Jorge Camacho says, we all have an idea of a portfolio, but what do you have as a suggestion that one cannot miss in a portfolio?
Well,
I think you already answered that question, or no?
It's a little bit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jorge, it's great. I love these questions are awesome. Jorge, so, I think that variety is the most important thing. Typically if it's your first opportunity in design and you're putting a portfolio forward, you're probably going to end up doing prop work. And some people, I think there's sort of a belief that that's a more junior level of work, and it's not. It's very complicated. Depending on what you're doing, you could be making a rock for a show, or you could be making like the main character's weapon or something that's really complicated and it changes. And, so you need to see it from different angles. So I think what's an important thing is whatever you design is that you take it from start to finish and you show everything about that design, even the thought process that went into putting that together. Like one of the most interesting things I always find when you look at design portfolios is sort of all the iterations that someone went through before they landed on their final design. And then from there, one school, a local school, actually did an interesting thing where they would have designers come up with kind of a show idea where they'd make a character and an environment and a prop. And then they would say, okay, now you've done that. Now imagine that whole world in a completely different style. So same story, but now you did this thing that looks like fantasy. Now make it like steampunk and do it that way and do so it's the same thing, but totally different. So you can see how someone can do varied work because Jorge, the thing is you never know what you're going to end up on. And you're not necessarily when you're applying for a specific project, studios are looking at your work and going, this is someone that can do a bit of everything, which is great. Then we're not necessarily just hiring them to work on Spider-Man because you could end up on My Little Pony or Lego or any one of the shows.
But I think there is something important to say to all the audience. We have already 93 people, 93 participants, and,
awesome.
And I'm guessing there is people from all over the Latin America. Related to that question, it seems like, in HR, you're looking for something specific because production is asking you to fill some gaps. But at the same time, you're looking at different portfolios and see what's different and what might be helpful in the future and what stands out, that might be worth just keeping inside or keeping close eye on. But at the same time, I think it would be nice if we can ask everybody in this audience that get in touch with Stephanie, and then we can just look at the portfolios, make a few questions, and then filter a little bit, and then send Colin the information. Colin
Victor, I'm so sorry. I'm cutting you off now. I'm madly scrolling through all the questions right now, and I'm so sorry I missed that. And it was Rodrigo's question, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Rodrigo, I'm so sorry. So, honestly, just a quick answer to this one. So putting it online is the best way to do that. And if the clearer and sort of cleaner your website is, the better, because at the end of the day, your work is going to end up in a recruiter's hands who are going to want to basically copy and send that link on to a number of different creative leads that are going to take a look at your work. So just the cleaner and clearer it is, and easier it is to do that, the better. And so, if you want to show illustration, design, biz dev, animation, whatever it is, just clarity is the key factor.
Key factor. Sure. Okay, now we can continue with the presentation. So now we are going with the ofertas laborales. So, Colin, diversity is a key element now in many companies around the world. So please, let's talk about this new tendency that is going around.
Yeah, I think that, without diversity, everything ends up looking the same and feeling the same. And, gosh, I'm lucky to be at Atomic where, not only are we big believers in having a diverse workforce, we even put training towards DEI or diversity inclusion initiatives. And so every employee goes through that as they join. But I mean, our employees come from all over the world. And, I think that equals great art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And okay, now I want to ask, also I will put it on the screen, the type of jobs that you're looking for. So I will just share my screen like very quick for these things that Atomic Cartoons is now looking for. And also we can answer a few questions. I also have a few questions as well.
Amazing.
Okay, so let me share my screen again in here. Stop share, and then I will share my screen. So for the people that is asking what type of jobs are they looking for Atomic, so I will put this link on the chat so you can look up all the jobs opportunities that are now. So if I scroll down, you can see all the departments that Atomic has. And for example, if you want CG texturing, CG assets, HR, facilities, FX, lighting and compositing, you can just click here and just go throughout all the job positions. For example, if I want to be a 2D harmony, if I am a 2D harmony compositor, then this opportunity is already here. You just have to read it out, what they're looking for, what you need, and also what you need to fill everything for the submit application. So for everybody, just I will put the link here in the chat so you can look it up and take your time as well, so you can analyze each job position. So I will just stop my screen and I will share the other one.
Stephanie, I'm going to offer you a job in the recruiting team after. That was awesome. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Pretty well organized. Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah.
So there it is. You have the link.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome.
Okay. So are there mentorship programs, Colin?
There is. So, internally, it's a little more formalized in that, as new people start, or if someone's looking to move from one department to another, typically we'll partner them up with someone a little more senior, or, if you're moving department to department, we'll actually have probably a director or an art director or someone, meet with you to tell you about what the day-to-day is like in that role or what that's all about. And then from there, depending on how sort of keen you are to do that, they would follow through with you and check in on you, how you're sort of progressing as you're trying new things within the building or taking on sort of more responsibility or leadership tasks. Mm-hmm. Externally, though, if this is something that, if you're putting a portfolio together or a demo reel or whatever it is you're doing and you're looking for feedback, message us, add me on LinkedIn you won't get a robot response. I promise. There's not enough of us to do that. And we absolutely try and get to everyone and connect them with a professional that's at the studio. So you can get some real sort of industry knowledge.
Okay. And so what you're saying is right now, maybe we have at least one opportunity for the 96 people that just the participants here, one mentorship. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm calling people out at the studio and they don't even know it, but they're just awesome. So I'm so lucky to work with a woman who's our studio creative director. Her name's Nadine Westerbarkey. And oh my gosh, she makes time for every single person, whether they're an employee at the studio or not.
Awesome.
And and if there's someone that wants to reach out and get some feedback or find out about sort of what daily life's like at the studio, or in the industry in general, she'll always make time. And myself, I will too, and countless others.
Oh, that's so cool. And do you have Latin American artists working at Atomic right now?
We do, it's
people, they do.
We do. Yes, we do. And I should have invited some of them to this talk today. That's sure. Actually, if you wanted to be connected specifically with a Latin American artist, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Sure. We can do that.
We have, a number of people that have come from Brazil and Colombia and other countries. The one challenge here is, for whatever reason, Canada does not have some sort of formal agreement with a lot of countries. Brazil is a great example of that. So it can make it more difficult if you're looking to immigrate. However, it's not impossible. And please don't think of that as a barrier. There's all kinds of routes to make things happen, as I know so many people have done successfully.
Yeah. I would like to ask you, Colin, this is something that it just steps a little bit away from being an artist and fulfilling your dreams and being a professional, all that. But I think many people would like to understand what would be the income scale for someone that goes abroad. Maybe not just Canada, but the industry as a whole.
Okay.
And is it true that someone as just a startup position can get as far as within $15 and $20 an hour, a mid-level segment within 30 to 40, and senior might be just crazy numbers, but maybe 60 within 60 to 80 an hour would be something real in some cases?
Yeah, so that's absolutely real.
Wow.
and hopefully better in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Our industry is one that, it is so unbelievably competitive, and now more than ever. And so, those are great sort of starting points for discussion. But I feel like, people are willing to, and our studio is no exception, are willing to pay whatever it takes to get the top talent and the best talent. So, and the best people in general. So, yeah.
The soft skills are very important.
Yes. Yeah.
People, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And of course, when I just heard the words war of talent, this is it. I mean, there's a lot of people that might have good opportunities if we just find the right niche and we find the right networking. And nobody's trying to do this. It's trying to do this in Latin America. So we're trying to feed
the artists, Victor, the artists have all the power right now, which is such a great thing, right? I mean, when I first entered into the industry, that was not the case. And there was sort of limited opportunities, specifically in Vancouver at the time. But that's not the case at all anymore. Now there's countless studios with, endless amounts of content, it seems, that they need to produce. And which equals an environment where artists have all the power and all the opportunities. So this is such an amazing time to be an artist and graduate.
Oh, that's great.
Or a professional looking for your next opportunity. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was just making a comment when I was cutting off because of the internet speed. Something happened with my laptop. But what I was trying to say is that maybe we can give you a hand, Colin, asking for the portfolios of the 94 people, the 94 participants. Just take a look at them and try to, filter something, make a few questions and all that, and just give you a hand with that and put some nice stuff on your hands. And I think that'll be great for everybody, I guess.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Oh, can we just answer a few questions from the people that they are?
Yeah.
For example, Luis Batala. I wonder if the studios are wanting more freelancers or more fixed on the studio workers. Don't know the term.
Yeah. So like full-time employees versus like contract or freelance. So honestly, both. Like there's tons of full-time opportunities, but there's great freelance opportunities too. If you were not wanting to relocate to Vancouver or Ottawa or Los Angeles, there's lots of opportunity to do freelance work. And every show, typically when we start a show and it goes through the development process, we usually hire specific stylized artists to do that early work. And that's typically stuff where we will chase after freelance artists to work specifically with them at the start of a production. But gosh, yeah, there's lots of opportunity either way. I don't think there's more demand over one over the other. I think the only demand is like whatever you're choosing to do, we just want to try and retain you and keep you at the studio. So yeah, steady work.
Stefan, I think, just go on through the questions. I think there's very, very good questions, but just another comment. Maybe, Stephanie, we need to do something on the portfolio. Try to bring someone that can speak just about portfolio, because that's a question that we get all the time, and that'll help a lot of people. So please go ahead, Steph.
Oh, okay. For example, about portfolios, questions about portfolios?
No. I mean, another event related to portfolios, but just go on with the questions. So we can
okay. Okay. So, for example, Carla Hernandez, you often hear that you should specialize on one thing and show that on your portfolio, like don't have props, characters, environment mix up for attaining a junior position. Do you agree with that?
I think that it really depends on what you're trying to do with the role. So a recruiter's worst nightmare is when you say, "Oh, I'm a generalist," and then they go, "Oh no," because like, what do I do, right? Like, often you got to keep in mind that not to knock on or be disrespectful to recruiters, but often they're not creative people themselves or have come from creative backgrounds, and so they're literally looking at a resume or your portfolio or whatever, and they're going, "This is a compositor. I don't need a compositor right now, so I'm not going to, look at this any further." When actually you were an amazing designer and we could have hired you for design. So, the challenge there is like, I think you just want to be really specific in what you're applying for. Like if you see something on a website, like ours or any studios that's specific, then, you specifically go after that role. In TV animation, it's good to have a variety. Like I was saying, like it really is, if you can show a bit of everything, specifically in design, that's a real positive. If you were looking probably more into like film work where it's really sort of specific and specialized, maybe it would make more sense that, you're catering your portfolio towards a certain aspect of film design. But in the world of TV animation, I think that the more you can show, the better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have now a Brazilian girl, Carla de Matos. She says, "I will graduate from Vancouver Film University in August, and I was wondering if Atomic helps with getting a work permit. I'm an international student from Brazil."
Amazing. Oh, this is awesome. Yes, we absolutely can. Again, it really just comes down to your portfolio or demo. So, if we make the decision that we love what you're doing and we love the art you've created, really doesn't matter what level you're at. And we can connect you with our immigration specialist to help with that process. And we've done that for a lot of different people.
What about English language, Colin? What level of English language they
gosh.
High, mid-level, something?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a helpful thing in sort of setting you up for success. But it certainly doesn't have to be your first spoken language. And again, it's a great thing that we're a part of an industry that's all about the art. So
I can show you my art and just ask you.
Yeah, you're in. Yeah, you're in. Yeah, Victor, you're hired.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. That's less of a concern.
We have also a character designer that is making our character designs. Her name is Natalia Santos. I don't know if she's here, but yeah, she's from Brazil as well, and she's really nice.
Awesome.
And doing all the characters. Okay, so we have another question from Jorge Camacho. We all have an idea we already had that. Yeah. Okay, there's another one. But it's in Spanish.
Make the translation.
Mauricio Reyes. So you're only asking for a digital artist. I'm an engineering systems engineer.
Oh, awesome.
And I would like to be part of making these multimedia creations at Atomic.
Amazing. So yeah, absolutely apply. One of the most difficult roles to fill, speaking about difficult roles, is in engineering and pipeline. And I think that typically like software engineers sort of, they, if they're thinking creative, they go, or more creative, they think video games and go that realm. And there's obviously lots of opportunity there in video games, but then what ends up happening is, you forget about animation as well. And there's a huge demand for technical, like pipeline engineers that can support and create systems and process within animation studios. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Yeah. Please message me.
Great. Man, you have it. Yeah. Great.
Okay. We have also Juan Carlos Diaz. He says, how much do artists stay still working with you after a project ends? I heard from somebody that animators, for instance, tend to be jumping from project to project most of the time from different companies. So if that is the case, which are the roles that stay that stay the most with you?
Oh, that's such a great question.
Yeah,
it's a great question though. And again, thinking back to the past, there probably was a lot more movement as people, and we are, we're an industry where it's all project based, and so artists do definitely move around. But again, in the current climate and where it's been for, again, at least the past 10 years, artists have all the control there, and so and power, and so typically shows last anywhere from a year to 2 years. So you'd be having some sort of comfort knowing that you've got a fairly lengthy contract, but also typically right now our studio and a lot of studios have talent managers, which are genuinely like people that are inside the studio. They work with the HR department, and they help to connect you from one show to another. So as you're wrapping up on one show, someone's already contacting you and saying, hey, your contract ends in a month. We've got this other thing going, and would you be interested in doing this? And hopefully having them roll from one thing to another. It's actually kind of seen as a negative now when someone does move and go to another studio, because you're like, oh no, that's another person I'm going to have to find to try and fill the role, because there's just so much demand. It's an amazing time.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
you have Gabriela there, Stephanie. I think Gabriela Milanelli should contact you at contact@novacompany.com so that you can take a look at that portfolio, which
awesome.
Oh yeah, Gabriela Milanelli.
I think it would be nice.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, we have Luis Guillen, and he says, talking about portfolios, I'm an architect. He's from the architecture.
Oh, cool.
And most of my works are architecture related. Would you recommend to adventure doing more things for a better portfolio?
Yeah, geez, coming from like the world of architecture, if you're looking to, because I think there's so much overlap, and if you're looking to make a move into animation,
right?
There's so much environment design that happens.
Design, right?
Exactly, environment design.
The angles, just
absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
All the perspectives. It's so important. So if you put together sort of a package of your work showing off any of the environment work that you've done, I think that's a great start. And then the next thing would be probably, I don't know how much color and thing gets applied in architecture or like architectural design, but that would probably be the next thing that you'd want to focus on.
Yeah,
too.
well, he can take some classes at Nova with texturing, and he'll be ready. He'll be ready.
There you go. That's the solution.
Engine. Yeah. Okay. We have also, he doesn't have a name, anonymous attendee.
Anonymous attendee.
Says, yeah. Are you?
I mean, he has a name, Stephanie, but he doesn't want to share.
Well,
it.
yeah.
It's not anonymous attendee. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, are students normally willing to train juniors? For example, if they have a grade 2D animators, but they need 3D animators for a while, are they willing to train people?
Great question, anonymous attendee. Yes. So the I don't know if all studios do this, but we have, and it's actually been one of the many reasons I've just been a big believer in Atomic. Typically again, like past eras of animation, no, you wouldn't do that. And people would move on and you'd find new people to fill those roles. But if you're not doing that now, you're so foolish, because you're losing out on amazing talent that just needs to learn a new tool or piece of software. Actually, like super topical, we actually have a instructor that's coming in to do a bunch of training right now for 2D animators that are moving into 3D, and that's going to be happening this summer. But we did that once before too. We had, with our animation packages, there's Adobe Animate, and then there's, Toon Boom Harmony, which is a very popular package too. And we needed to train a lot of people. And so we brought in a trainer to do that, and gave people that education too over a couple of weeks, and paid them for that too. So it was paid education to bring them on to their next project.
Oh, they're paid. Look, people, they're paid. So we have also Nicolas Herrera, and he's saying if he wants to be part of the Atomic, but he
Awesome.
in the music side.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So music is a little more difficult in that, that typically is a freelance role. Usually if it's something if it's a service project, typically the client has already chosen who they're using for music. So it's not necessarily a choice that Atomic would make on their own. We do make that decision though, when it comes to our own IP. So it's not impossible. Like if you've got a reel that you want to share with us, absolutely send it to us. We'd love to hear your work.
Oh, great. Okay, I don't know if you want more question and then we can continue, because
Awesome.
There's a lot of questions. Let me see. Okay, Luis, let me see. Another one.
Jorge Camacho has something interesting. He's saying, how can I upload a cartoon of Colin?
Oh.
Can I?
Hopefully, it means a cartoon to me and not of me.
So,
yeah. I would make a very boring show.
Well, I think it would be nice if you can send it, Jorge. You can please send it. contact@novacompany.com. Please send it.
Awesome.
We want to see it. So please send it.
Can you imagine Colin being a cartoon?
No, I cannot. Yeah. I like to be behind the scenes, not on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. You can continue with the presentation.
Okay, great. So we have something. We are coming just at the end of the event, Colin, and we are very, very happy with everything you just shared. I'm guessing that at the end of this, there'll be people saying, what's the next step? I want to go for it. There's people that might be saying, well, I'm going to think about it. And there's people that might be just afraid to leave their current life, because they think this is just unattainable. So, Colin, based on your experience and being very, very, very frank, how difficult is it to land an opportunity in a country and a company like yours?
Well, I don't want to be naive, but I don't think it's that hard. It really is based entirely on your work, and again, I'm lucky to be in an industry where that's what it's all about. It's about the artwork, and that sort of speaks for itself. Immigration, we talked a little bit about that. That can be a barrier, but our studio and most studios want to help with that these days. For myself, if I can offer sort of one piece of advice to everyone, and this sounds cliche, but it's true, it's persistence. If you, for some reason, hear from us and we don't have an opportunity for you, or your demo reel or your portfolio is not quite there yet, and we don't have that we don't have sort of the spot to bring you in a junior role to get you started, don't be discouraged. Try again. I literally, personal story, I applied at one studio probably 5 times and got 5 different rejection letters as I was starting my career. And it was on the 5th one that their HR manager phoned me and said, hey, you've applied so many times now. They're like, we just want to meet you because obviously you really want to work here, even though your demo reel is not quite good enough to get in. And so, and that led to my first sort of foot in the door. So, just don't give up. Everyone I know that persisted and kept trying is now in the industry and has a great career as a result.
That's so beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So before Stephanie can just give us her
Yes.
final words, I think everybody that we're doing this for you. We're doing this for Latin America. We're doing this because there's a lot of talent. We're doing this because in countries like Colin's, a little bit of context from Latin America would be very nice. There's a lot that we can give. So please take note of contact@novacompany.com. We would like to see your portfolio. We would like to, build this relationship with you, with Colin, and with companies like that, like Atomic Cartoons, just to give opportunities to people. I think the future is ours, and tomorrow is today. We need to start today. We can't wait. Tomorrow is today.
Quiero agradecer a todos ustedes que por formar parte de este evento y esperamos que les hayan servido muchísimo el compartir con Colin y con Nova de temas relevantes que muchos estudiantes y profesionales de América Latina deben tener presentes. So Colin, we would like to hear final words to our audience, please.
Oh gosh. Hey, huge thank you, Stephanie and Victor, for organizing this again. This was awesome. And I hope to do another one of these with you all again.
Sure.
Again, I've said this a few times, the animation industry, it's one that makes decisions based entirely off of your demo reel and your portfolio. It's not about your grades, and it really doesn't matter where you are in the world either. It's, an industry that is full of opportunity right now. It's been a couple of super tough years, the past couple of years with the pandemic, but here again is one of the super positives that we're all talking right now and connected. And I hope that if you're interested in learning more about Atomic, you'll reach out to me as well and connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you're wanting to connect with our recruiters, you can recruit them, or you can connect with them directly at recruiting@atomiccartoons.com. So thank you so much. This was a ton of fun.
Thank you. And please, if you get into cartoons, you will have to use that type of classes that Colin is using. So take that into account.
The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Colin. We will still keep in touch. And thank you
so
everybody,
much.
Again.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.